Are you somebody that reacts or are you somebody who responds? Ooh. What's the difference there? Aren't they the same thing? Oh no, my friend, they're not. If you're a highly sensitive person, empathic, or really tuned into the feelings, there's a chance that you might be a reactive person. And if so, that's totally okay. I was for a long time and sometimes can go back down that little rabbit trail. Doesn't lead to very good places. Here's what I want to share with you for today. Getting out of the habit of what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls being yourself, and also getting out of the habit of doing things the way that everybody else does, because you'll notice that people are quite reactive to stuff that's really none of their business and really none of yours either. So if you're on board with going away from the reactionary stuff and spending your time in stressful areas of the mind and the heart, and you want to get into more peaceful places and actually have more ownership and agency inside your own mind and your own life, well, come on, my friend. I've got a dose of vitamin D Grant that you do not want to miss. Welcome back to you, my friend. My name is D. Grant Smith, and yes, I am the growth farmer for personal development, bringing two seemingly interesting things together: spirituality and storytelling, and merging them together into one place to deliver for you some exciting, interesting, enlightening, and educational, as well as a little bit of entertaining avenues for you to grow into not only the best version of yourself, but your favorite version of yourself. That's what I am committed to doing in my own life. Here's what I want to share with you for today. Are you somebody that responds to what's going on around you, or do you find yourself in reaction mode? And if you find yourself in reaction mode, it's okay. Actually, in a lot of ways, we are taught, programmed, and conditioned to operate as a reactionary person to all of the different craziness that goes on around us. If you look around, you'll notice that most of the world spends a lot of its time reacting to things. And in the media in particular, and whether we're talking about the news media or social media or anywhere else, you'll see that the talking heads will see, what is your reaction to this situation? Kind of planting a seed there, don't you think? Interesting. What if we don't have a reaction? Because reacting to things is kind of like what I think of when I think of volcanoes and nuclear stuff. It's explosive. And typically, reactions are explosive. We experience something that we don't like and we react to it. Our emotions, especially as highly sensitive folks and empathic people, since we're so tuned in higher emotionally than a lot of people are, we can get really reactive and our reactions can backfire on us and go into areas that we do not want to be in, especially when it involves other people. Because when you react to somebody else's behavior or words because they triggered you, whether you're aware of it or not, your reaction can lead to them reacting, which can then lead back to you reacting. And now we're in this never-ending cycle of explosions. And well, you can have your own little visual experience there for what a whole bunch of explosions is going to do for you. Not good stuff. So I want to introduce to you a different way of looking at things. This is something that I am practicing in my own life, and I encourage you to practice as well. It's a perspective shift. I'm going to use a metaphor to illustrate it. You ready? Okay. We can go from being a thermostat. Sorry. We can go from being a thermometer to being a thermostat. Now, what does that mean? Okay, here's an illustrated point. If you imagine outside a temperature gauge, a thermostat with a mercury inside, little red stuff inside the glass deal that's got all the numbers on it. In the summertime, that red's going to go way up, especially if you live in Texas like I do. It gets hot here. And in the wintertime, it's going to go way down. What makes that mercury rise and fall? Everything that's going on in the environment. It is subject to the environment. It is subject to reacting to whatever's going on around it. Now go inside your house and you get a different story. Because inside your house, you have a thermostat that's on the wall, probably digital. You point a number on the temperature gauge for what you want the temperature of your house to be, and that's what it's going to be regardless of what temperature it is outside. Let's say you set your thermostat to 70, and in the summertime, that feels nice and cool compared to the 100 and whatever degrees it is outside. And let's say that you keep it around 70 in the wintertime. Maybe you bump it up to 75 if you're like me and you don't like cold weather. And so the temperature can drop down to 40, 30, 20, doesn't matter. Inside your house is nice and warm because it's not reacting to anything outside. It has set the thermostat for what the energy is going to be. And everything else has to respond to what has been decided by the thermostat. Now, we in our own lives have this opportunity too. And a lot of this comes down to our own emotional awareness and our own awareness of ourselves. And if you want to get into some of the spiritual stuff, doing what I call putting on your joy force field. This is what my joy force field looks like. I do a little meditative practice and I imagine myself being surrounded by this golden, glimmering, shimmering, kind of like Iron Man exosuit, that everything that is not love and is not joy cannot penetrate the joy force field. And whatever is going on inside of me, inside my energy field, is now incubated and protected by the joy force field. So it's converting anything inside of me that's not joy and not love and not peace into those things. And this is a practice you can do in a simple meditation. You don't even have to like go into a deep meditative state. You can just affirm it for yourself and visualize it. That's what I do. I hope you'll take on the joy force field and make that a part of your life. I also hope that you will take the time to look at your own patterns and be more self-aware of the way that you react or respond to other people, because that decision can determine a whole lot about your own personal peace and the peace and health of your relationships. Now, you might be saying, that sounds great, D. Grant, but how do I do that? Well, it's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on the way that you go about doing things. And if you want some personal help with that, I would love to help you. In the description box, I'll leave some ways that you and I can have conversation to work on this together. And you can transition from being a reactive thermometer into being a responsive thermostat and maintaining your own peace, your own well-being, your own level of confidence, and not being triggered by everything going on around you. Now, if you want some real insight and real deep dive help into maintaining that level of composure and having confidence no matter who you're around, especially as we're getting into the holiday season. And in the holiday season, we're around family, and sometimes family can be triggering. Even if you're in a pretty healthy family, there's times that you can feel triggered. Want to not feel triggered? Want to feel confident and at peace with yourself at all times, regardless of who you're around? I encourage you to jump into the confidence course I've got listed in the description below. Totally revolutionize the way that you see yourself, the story that you tell yourself, the story that you're living, and you will be operating at the highest version of you instead of somewhere in between trying to measure up to somebody else. You can get my personal help with that as well. So drop down into the description, see all the different ways that I can help you. And no matter what, my prayer, my intention, my hope for you is that you will believe in yourself and that you will step into the version of you that is constantly growing, producing, and harvesting love, success, peace, harmony, and well-being. I believe in you, I love you, and I'll see you again soon.